Howdy folks, I'm Giant Gry Falcon, gracefully gyrating to gothic Gregorian chants.
I'm Amber.
And here's more Gregorian chants for us to gyrate to. Not really my first choice of music to gyrate to, but maybe we'll give it a shot. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Wearing the Anniversary Gift That My Girlfriend Bought For Me? I'm a 40-year-old male, and I've been dating my girlfriend, Erin, a 39-year-old female, for a year. Yesterday was the anniversary of our first date. We exchanged gifts, and she loved mine, but I was kind of taken aback when I opened mine. I don't like jewelry at all. The only jewelry that I will ever wear will be my wedding ring. She asked me that before, and I told her how much I don't like wearing jewelry. She got us matching lover's eyes pendants. Basically, it's a very close-up picture of your lover's eye turned into a necklace. I thanked her, and she said, "Come on, wear it." I told her that I'll wear it at home, but I don't like wearing jewelry outside, especially at work. She said that I'm being a jerk. Honestly, it looks creepy. It's weird to wear someone's eye picture around your neck. She has been upset since then. Do I owe her an apology? Is there a way to solve this problem without insulting her gift? And folks, just so that you can get an idea of what these pendants look like, this is one such pendant that OP linked to, so this is what the lover's eyes generally look like. So, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. OP was clear that he's not interested in wearing jewelry. It seems like his partner got this gift more for herself than for him. Like, she has this idea that she wants to be all matchy-matchy. And like, I get the desire to have matching things with your partner, but you also have to accept if that's not really their jam. And with something especially this interesting, it's important to run that by your partner first. Like, if you already think a gift is going to be outside their comfort range, that should not be a surprise gift.
Yeah, I kind of want to first say that I think that art is very subjective, right? And I don't think that there's a lot of hard work that goes into making something like that, and I'm not going to like dump on that, certainly. It is very much something, a piece of art, that you really have to be interested in order to actually want or wear. And that's not to say that it's like bad or anything. I'm just saying that it's very much up to one's personal taste about whether they will like that kind of art or not. And for someone who doesn't wear jewelry, something like that might be an even bigger extreme for them to wear, right? Because it's a little bit out there. It's not even like just a simple piece of jewelry, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a extravagant, very large piece of jewelry.
Right, and expecting him to wear that to work.
Yeah.
People, he doesn't want to have all his coworkers staring at his new necklace.
Yeah.
Because it is like, it's a distracting and eye-catching piece.
Yeah.
And in a way that OP doesn't want it to be. And so I think she just needs to accept that this is not his jam. He's already been gracious enough to offer to wear it at home as a compromise. And so, I think she just needs to back off.
Yeah. Well, I do agree. I mean, I think that she needs to back off, and I think that she needs to accept that this isn't something that he's terribly interested in. And like you said, this is more of a gift for her than it is for him. And it's kind of a learning lesson. Like, sometimes you think that somebody's going to like something, and I'm hoping that was the case here. I don't know how.
Well, the thing that baffles me is that she specifically asked him about jewelry.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing she may even have had this in mind when she asked him to like test the waters. And then took his no and was like, well, we'll make this a yes.
Well, I think maybe she thought, maybe he doesn't like jewelry, but he'll like this because it's my eye. I don't know. I think, again, like, she needs to learn to listen and not try to impose gifts on him that he doesn't want. And as for, there might be a deeper underlying reason here. Maybe she's trying to like stake her claim on him because it's their year anniversary, so maybe she feels insecure that there isn't like any way to like mark him as her own. I don't know.
I mean, there could be. Because there's also a thing like where you could put, like, if it was just about the sentiment of him having a piece of her on him, he could wear it like under his shirt or something if he wanted to. But her expecting it to be out and visible does feel a little bit like staking my claim type of situation.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And interesting file 557 says, gross. I thought that it would be something so zoomed in that it just showed the colors of the eye. After Googling, just no, way too creepy, not the jerk. And OP replies, I was so creeped out. She has gorgeous brown eyes in real life, but that necklace looked really creepy. And Kambe Na says, can I ask, was this lover's eye a miniature watercolor artist, Lorraine Lutz? If it was, then count yourself extremely lucky. Even if you don't want to wear it, it's still a collector's item. Otherwise, not the jerk. If your girlfriend knows that you don't like jewelry, it's a lame move to buy you some. Even if the gesture was there, it's okay to be disappointed. And OP replies, no idea, it's something like this, and the picture I showed you earlier. And For Vox's Sake says, not the jerk. I agree with most of the commenters saying that she should have taken your preferences into account, and her reaction kind of makes her the jerk. If you're interested in a possible compromise though, could you maybe recycle the necklace into a keychain? That way you can carry it all day, every day, as well as you don't have to wear the piece of jewelry that you're not comfortable with. My goddaughter, I think she was 14 or 15 at the time, once made me a bracelet out of recycled hammered copper rings. It was adorable, though it wasn't entirely my style. I tried to wear it, but it gave me an instant allergic reaction. So I kindly explained to her, and I've been carrying the bracelet on my keys ever since, and she was extremely happy about it. What do you feel about that suggestion there?
I mean, I think it's possible, and so if he's amenable to that, that's fine.
All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk Because My Brother's Wife Doesn't Know the Difference Between Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones? So I'm a 39-year-old male, and I was babysitting my 9-year-old niece for the evening while my brother and his wife, a 31-year-old, had a date that night. We were playing with Legos and tea party dress up. I jokingly took one of the rings and said, my precious. My precious. She didn't get the reference. I said, like Gollum or Smeagol from Lord of the Rings? The Hobbit? She didn't get the reference. This shocked me. We are from a very sci-fi and fantasy family. She's a littler little nerd like me. We even read comics together. So I made some popcorn, and we watched The Fellowship of the Ring together. She loved it. She liked the Hobbits and the Elf Magic Ring. She wanted to see the next one. It was late, so I put her to bed. Brother and his wife came home, and I left. The next morning, I get a phone call. My brother's wife is furious with me. My niece woke up asking to see the next one and asked if the dragons would be in this one, because I said that there's no dragons until the prequels. My sister-in-law is freaked out, screaming about how I could be so irresponsible to show her that. I'm confused because we saw the same thing at her age. She's yelling at me about intimacy and incest and heads being hacked off. I'm confused by this and said, what are you even talking about? There's nothing like that. Sister-in-law is beside herself, ranting and screaming, mad about how I'll never babysit again. My brother gets on the phone and explains that his wife doesn't know the difference between Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. Apparently, she doesn't see the difference, and he can't explain that to her. So now they are mad at me because she's too ignorant to know the difference between a movie and a TV series. I might not get to babysit my niece again over it. For context, the wife is not into it because she has a short attention span and doesn't actually watch anything while it's playing. She is always on the phone and she never sees any distinction between any of it. All she sees are swords and horses and magic. My niece has seen every Star Wars except the holiday special. She loves dragons and aliens, and her favorite doll is Grogu. And she absolutely did not find anything scary. We grew up watching that stuff, and the wife didn't. My brother has issues and is the non-confrontational type. All right, folks, what do you think?
I don't think Opie did anything wrong. This is a really hard situation to rectify. Brother needs to grow a spine and actually, explain to his wife that Opie didn't do anything wrong, that there is a difference, because there is a huge difference between Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. And so, it's just one of those things where I don't know if there's any fixing this from Opie, because the wife isn't going to see reason from him. And so I just hope that maybe Opie can try talking to the brother and talking some sense into him. But brother just needs to grow a spine and actually parent and explain that his wife can't just shut everything down because she doesn't want to take the time to understand it.
Well, I think that's the biggest problem, is that there are ratings on movies for a reason, right? And a responsible parent will sit down and watch a movie that their kid is interested in to figure out whether or not it's something that they can watch, right? And the fact that she's jumping to conclusions just because it has dragons, magic, and wizards in it, or whatever it was, shows a lot about how she kind of perceives the world, right? I think that OP wasn't wrong for showing the daughter, their niece, the movie if it was age appropriate. I mean, I don't know what the age on those movies are, if it's like PG-13 or just PG, but certainly, like, if you have any doubts about whether a child should be watching something that their parents would object to, you should always ask them. But I think that OP was coming from a sincere place of thinking that this was appropriate. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Small People Supremacy says, maybe get your brother to show her, the wife, what Lord of the Rings is about. The only similarity between Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings is fantasy. I watched The Lord of the Rings when I was a wee lass, under 8 years old, with my grandpa all the time, and we loved it, not the jerk. And GC Hodge says, well, Ned Stark dies in both of them, too. To be fair, he dies in an incredibly big portion of his filmography. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Denying My Ex His Son After He Abandoned Us, and I Took the Choice Alone to Give Him Up for Adoption? Update. So basically, this one is about OP. Essentially, when they were younger, they got pregnant by this guy, and they chose to give up the child for adoption. Fast forward to, many years later, and suddenly he and she encounters each other, and he wants to be part of the kid's life. And folks, I just also want to give a quick warning here. I did have a really hard time reading this one because of like some of the grammar and stuff like that. So I did read a revised script of it. So it might not match exactly what you see on your screen. This will probably be the one and only update I'll be doing because I'm going to be honest. I've got other things to do, and I have my main Reddit account for lurking. I'm going to start with an important matter. A lot of people were worried about my biological kid and what he wished when it came to Mike. Well, I got his permission to post. He spoke with Mike once a few days after I told him where he could find Mike. I won't share any of the details, only the final decision. There won't be any more contact between them. The kid doesn't want a second dad, and Mike wasn't willing to be in his life unless he had the position of dad. So he's going no contact with Mike. There was more to it, but it was very personal, and I feel that it's not my place to share it. The kid and I will continue to have a relationship as aunt and nephew. And he knows whenever he needs me medically, I'll be the first one in line to give blood, a kidney, etc. For those wondering why Mike is so eager to be in his life, I found out a few details through his friends. He can have more kids, but he hasn't had a stable relationship in years, and honestly, I believe it. I finally agreed to have a coffee with him to get some things squared away. My husband came too, though he sat at another table and let me handle it. That was my request. The conversation was a complete disaster, to be honest. Mike bought me flowers and chocolate-covered strawberries, my old favorite treats, like it was some kind of date. I shut that down immediately. I introduced my husband and made it clear that we are very much in love and happy, so I wouldn't tolerate any attempts or unwanted romance. We sat down and he started talking about his failed relationships. He claimed that no woman had ever met his standards for a wife and mother because in his mind, I already filled that role. He admitted that he felt guilty for choosing college over me and our baby. He knew about the court dates regarding custody and that I was trying to put a baby up for adoption. When he later saw me caring for my stepson, he assumed that I had changed my mind and kept our baby. Seeing me in that role made him fantasize about the three of us being a family and maybe even having more kids together. Then he actually had the audacity to ask if I would consider divorcing my husband and fighting for custody for our son. I laughed in his face. Maybe I was too cruel, but after the years of stress, heartache, and judgment from others, I had a lot to unload on him. I told him that I saw nothing but a coward, a man who instead of facing adult responsibilities, ran away with the help of mommy and daddy. Any love I once had for him died the day that I had to push a whole human being into the world only to find an empty space where the father was supposed to be. I told him how I nearly ruined my life, missing prom, senior pictures, and even graduation because I was too pregnant to party, be in the yearbook, or even walk across the stage for my diploma. Meanwhile, he got to enjoy his life while I had to fight tooth and nail for even an inch of respect. We both had unprotected intimacy, but the only difference was that his member wasn't big enough to pop out a baby or to satisfy a woman for that matter. That was a bit mean, but I'm not sorry. After I calmed down, I told him that I have a happy life, a husband who loves me, wonderful stepkids who are the greatest gift, a best friend who lets me be a stepmom to her kids, a nephew that I adore. Despite the complicated history as a biological mother and child, he still loves me as a special aunt instead of resenting me. My family is perfect because Mike isn't part of it, and I have no intention of entertaining his fantasy. In fact, I can't wait to get pregnant with my husband's child to add to that perfection. I also told him to leave our biological son alone. He made his choice, and even if he decides to reach out, that's his decision. I also let Mike know that I would be filing a formal complaint with the hospital for harassment. Good thing my husband took screenshots because by the time we got home, Mike had already deleted all of his posts. A lot of his former friends reposted the screenshots mocking him. The silver lining in all of this, I reconnected with some of my old high school classmates, and honestly, they're great people. It turns out that Mike is one of the few still clinging to his high school glory days. It's been about 3 days, and there has been no sign of Mike. My husband got a massive ego boost from overhearing me go off on him and has been insufferable ever since in a good way. So mostly good news, and hopefully we'll have even better news because we're actually excited about the idea of having a baby together. All right, folks, what do you think?
I'm glad that OP did not throw away her life and get back together with Mike. And hopefully this will be the reality lesson he needs, like just the audacity of being like, I know I abandoned you 16 years ago and like made fun of you being pregnant while I did my thing, but why don't you throw away this whole life you've built just so we can get back together and I can live out my fantasy?
Yeah. Well, I think that's the biggest thing here is that he really overreached here in a lot of ways, right?
Well, it just seems like OP and her bio child would just be props in his little fantasy. He doesn't see them as people. They're just means to him fulfilling his desire to look like a father figure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like maybe he does sincerely want to like have a family. Maybe he's reached a point in his life where he's like, "Oh, I would really love to have a family now." Like he's gone through med school. He's, been able to establish a career and whatnot. And I think maybe he is looking for maybe someone to fill that role for him, right? And I don't know. I think that he just hasn't had a lot of luck with relationships, and he thought, you know what? OP seems like a good person. What about OP? And again, it just kind of shows that he views OP as a means to an end, as opposed to an actual human being with their own life and own desires and everything. Because who thinks that, oh, I'm just going to, inch my way into this person's life who hasn't seen me forever. She's going to divorce her husband from me, clearly, right? So I think he's a bit full of himself. I wouldn't be surprised if that's why he's having a really hard time, finding a relationship. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Why did the woman bring her book into the bath?
Well, she brought her book into the bath because she was tired of the book and she drowned it.
No, she wanted a steamy read.
Ah.
And today is Read in a Bathtub Day.
So, don't waterboard books. They don't like it. And I have Earl Grey. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Special Sunday, folks. And you know what makes it special? You do, and Amber does too.
And Brian does too.
And I hope you're having a very special Sunday. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please have it on giving eclectic gifts.
If you're going to give gifts that are a bit out of the norm, it's important to accept that the recipient may not see them in the same light you do, and not to force that on them.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
She loves dragons and aliens. She loves dragons and aliens. Her favorite doll is Guru. Goru?
Grogu.
Gorgu?
Grogu.
Grogu? Who's Grogu?
Baby Yoda.
Oh. She loves dragons and aliens, and her favorite doll is Gorgru. Gorgu? Gorgu? How do
I
you
think
say it?
it's Grogu.
Grogu? She loves aliens. She loves dragons and aliens, and her favorite doll is Gorgru. Grogu.